All right, man, peace. So now we're coming down the stretch run of fight week for the bout between Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor, the war of the worlds between boxing and mixed martial arts. They just had their big press conference today in Las Vegas. Of course, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in. Let's see what they have to say.
Earlier today at the Ka Theater at the MGM Grand, it was the main event press conference as I'm joined by Chael Sonnen and Teddy Atlas, who talks about the fight before the fight before the fight. And that's what this was today, although it wasn't much of a fight, as Floyd Mayweather played the grand host of all things boxing here.
Yeah, but he also showed you, and more importantly than showing us, he showed Conor McGregor that it's his time. This is his place now, his house, his forum, his ring.
And you could tell when you watch the press conference that Floyd was at home. Conor McGregor, as much as he likes to pose and act as if he's been there before, he's never been in an event this large. He'll never be in an event this large ever again. All right? When you deal with Mayweather, it's the cream of the crop. It's the biggest of the biggest events. Even Pacquiao looked like he was in awe in the build-up to their fight, in the press conferences for their fight, at the weigh-in for their fight. Pacquiao looked like he was in awe. Right? When he looked at Floyd Mayweather, he almost started to pray to him. Right? He kept saying, "Thank you, Floyd. Thank you, thank you." You could read his lips and see it. He was telling them that. And I'm sure that McGregor at the weigh-in, he's going to do a lot of posing. He's going to do a lot of bragging. He's going to be filled with a lot of bluster. He's going to be trying to channel Bruce Lee. I've never heard Conor McGregor talk about Bruce Lee as much as he has in the build-up for this fight. It's clear that he feels like he needs to channel some type of superhuman spirit into him to defeat this man, Floyd Mayweather, which shows you the awe that the combat sports world has for Floyd Mayweather.
This is what he does, because he came out there just in little subtle things. He didn't curse. He stopped cursing. And people say, "Teddy, what's that got to do with it?" And during the world tour, they were cursing. They were trying to intimidate each other. They were also putting a show on, trying to sell tickets. Conor continued cursing a little bit today, but Floyd, no curse words, no bad words at all.
When Floyd stares you down, man, you can tell he's trying to, in some form or fashion, psychologically defeat you. What do I mean by that? Floyd seems to believe in a philosophy of stillness. He's able to tap into tremendous calm, even at moments where there's chaos all around him. That's why he's able to transcend a lot of big moments during fights where other fighters will be traumatized. This is what I was referring to when I spoke about Victor Ortiz and other fighters who've had mental breakdowns against Floyd, like a Zab Judah. You go back and watch that Zab Judah fight. People love to talk about how Zab was beating him, and Zab was never beating Floyd. What Zab was doing the best that he could. All right, there was no point in the fight where Zab was beating Floyd. There were points in the fight where Zab was doing the best that he could, and Floyd was calculating exactly how Zab was going to attack him, and how he was going to issue his counterattack. And he's doing the same thing to Conor. He's pretty much just trying to read Conor. He's trying to look past all the bluster and see the obvious nervousness that Conor has inside. It's very, very clear. It's very obvious. Conor's trying to use a lot of these psychological tricks and warfare that he uses against these low-level, rather slow-brained MMA fighters that he goes against. He's trying to use it against Floyd, and it's not going to work. All right? Floyd Mayweather has the mind of a serpent. What does that mean? He's constantly meditative, but when he does strike, it's extremely fast, and it's to kill. All right? Now, what do I mean by that? It doesn't mean that he's a one-punch knockout artist. All it means is that every move that Floyd Mayweather makes is calculated, and it's filled with potency, man. That's the bottom line of it. You're not going to out-chess him. You're not going to outthink him. You're not going to intimidate him. You have one chance, that he gets old that night and you catch him with something that he cannot recover from. That is your one and only chance.
Because he didn't need him. And his subtle little message to Mr. McGregor, he's basically saying, hey, I'm in my place now. I don't need to curse. You need to curse. You need something extra.
See, Floyd is Floyd is a mastermind how he deals with these enemy combatants. When he sees that his opponent likes stillness, he tries to cause chaos. When he sees that his opponents like chaos, he opts for stillness. He did the same thing with Zab. If people have ever seen or remember the build-up for his fight with Zab, Floyd Mayweather knew and understood that at their press conference, Zab would try to do a lot of the same things that Conor's doing. Zab will be looking to brawl at the press conference. So Floyd purposefully took the calm route. He's doing the same thing with McGregor because he knows that McGregor feeds off of chaos. He feeds off of trying to inspire chaos all around him and destabilize his opponent. Floyd is a student of combat history, just like Conor is. And Conor tries to use a lot of Ali's old tricks. Ali also used to like to instill chaos in the mind of his opponent, to try to break him down mentally and make him so angry and upset that he will come out of character and forget the things that he needs to do in the fight. Mayweather understands all these things. This is why I say he is a chess master at this. You're not going to defeat him mentally. All right? I've been saying for the longest time, Conor has one chance.
Extra. You need help. You got a problem.
It was interesting because Conor McGregor did take some jabs at Floyd.
And Floyd's outfit looks a lot better today than it did yesterday. All right? I'm not even going to comment on that red shit he had on. But that's neither here nor there.
Floyd Mayweather, we saw a lot of the really unseemly things that were said during the World Tour. And he said a couple of things today, Chael, like, oh, he's not a quarter of the man I am. He took some shots at him and his financial woes. What did you think of the way that McGregor comported himself?
He was doing whatever he could to destabilize Floyd. That has been his game plan from the start. I don't blame him. I think Conor understands that his actual chances are around the 1 percentile area, and he's doing whatever he can to raise that 1%, maybe to 10% by the fight. All right, if he can get up to 10%, maybe even 15% chance of winning by fight night, that's as great as he can ask for. Because most of the top level fighters in the world don't have but a 20% chance of beating Floyd Mayweather. All right, at least the Floyd that we knew when he last fought. So he's doing what he can to destabilize Floyd. He's bringing up Floyd's betting and all that other stuff, all that nonsense. All that is trying to nitpick at Floyd's psyche to see if he can get a response, a reaction, any type of crack or fissure.
Yeah, so, I've been trying to think of how to interpret what we saw here today. On first glance, it was painfully boring. On second glance, I think that Floyd perhaps was trying to go out the way that he came in, and that was as a sportsman. Before the business, before the fame, and before the money, he was just a guy chasing a dream.
The process of planning and the mental game is always boring to idiots. Whenever you hear somebody who is always talking about how they're bored, it's normally because their brain operates at a very, very low level. All right? Always keep that in mind. When people talk about how bored they are, or this is boring, or that's boring, it's normally because they're boring. And it's normally because they can't see what actually is going on around them.
Trying to get his hand raised so his old man and his uncle would pat him on the back and tell him, good job. I thought that he was at home in Las Vegas, and perhaps he just wanted to go out the right way. I also think, because this is a dance, and only one person can lead, Floyd led. You'll remember, Conor started off, and to Teddy's point, he came out, he was using curse words, he was being aggressive, because that's what they've always done. But as soon as Floyd slowed everything down, we saw Conor react to that and also slow things down. I think everybody know I'm in charge, I'm the A side, and we're going to do it my way. And Conor did.
Well, Floyd has been leading the whole time. He led in the initial press conferences when Conor McGregor was acting crazy and talking about how he can't read and all this other stuff. All right. See, what a chess player does is sometimes he leaves openings that are not really openings just to see how his opponent will try to take advantage of the perceived opening. Since Conor is such a Bruce Lee, such an admirer of Bruce Lee, then he should know one of the attacks of Jeet Kune Do that Bruce Lee devised was known as attack by drawing, where he would purposefully appear to leave an opening, trying to get his opponent to lead so that he can counter. All right, that philosophy doesn't just work in combat; it also works in life. All right, sometimes you have to Sometimes you have to feign vulnerability. You have to feign ignorance to see how your opponent will respond, to see how they will act, to see how they will expose themselves, so that you can learn a lot about their character. Makes it easier for you to defeat them.
And Floyd reminding everyone where he's been, what he has seen, which he says is everything, where he is in his place in history, and essentially that this is his house, this is his town. By the way, this town is awfully crowded, so Michael and Jamel are making their way over here.
Oh, please. Them two liberal cornball niggas, they ain't on their way over there. They're at the Colin Kaepernick rally. Or maybe, but then again, they're probably not at the rally because they're a couple of fake-ass pro-blacks anyway. You know, the Colin Kaepernick rally was supposed to have damn 8 million Negroes there. I wonder what happened.
Traffic, they'll be here in just a moment. In the meantime, in case you missed it, some sound from earlier today.
We are prepared for 12 3-minute rounds of non-stop pace, and I will go forward and I will put the pressure on him and break this old man. Trust me on that.
One thing that you must know about the sport of boxing and about combat sports. Remember, if you give it, you must be able to take it.
And when it's all said and done, you know what? I'm going to feel a little bit sad because...
You're going to feel sad because you're his #1 fan. Let me tell you something. Even long before this fight was ever mentioned, I could tell that Conor McGregor was a huge Floyd Mayweather fan. You could tell by how he expresses himself. You could tell by how he dresses. You could tell by how he acts. He took the whole Mayweather blueprint, just like Floyd said. Took the whole blueprint, and hey, man, fair play to him. He took it and he was able to maximize it. All right. He took advantage of the racialism of society, not racism, racialism. Right. Racialism is how people interpret the same action by different races subconsciously. Right. When a so-called black man does one thing, it's interpreted or it's viewed a certain way. When somebody of another race does the exact same thing, they view it a whole other way. I wouldn't call it racism because it's not necessarily conscious, but sometimes subconscious thought, right? Is what's called racialism. It's how people subconsciously think about something or someone based on their race. If you get 5 different groups of people to do the same thing, or 5 different people to do the same thing, and the only difference is their race, but the perception is different, obviously the race is the determining factor. So you can have a guy like McGregor who's brash and bold and rude, right? Cocky, and everybody says he's so great. But Mayweather does it, and they'll claim that he's an asshole. And they'll try to use the cover of, well, he's a woman beater. Well, anybody who remembers, Mayweather has always been depicted as an asshole in the media, going all the way back to the De La Hoya fight. All right. So, you know, the woman beating stuff was not something that was publicized by the media until after the Shane Mosley fight. But that's neither here nor there.
Because you should have all kept your mouth shut.
I can give it and I can take it. But for me to be 49-0, it's obvious I'm not receiving it, I'm giving it.
You should have left me over on that other game that I'm from, that more ruthless game where we bounce heads off the canvas and drill them into the floor.
It's very obvious that Conor is very insecure about his chances of winning this fight. It's very obvious that he's very self-conscious about possibly being embarrassed because he keeps trying to juxtapose boxing to MMA. So obviously he's trying to hype himself up for the beating that he believes he may take on Saturday by saying, oh, well, you know, we take shinbone to the head and all this other stuff. Why is that? Because he's basically trying to say, look, I'm just here, you know, in case I get my ass whooped, I'm just here to make this money. And I actually come from a real fighting sport. This is not a real fighting sport. So in case I get embarrassed, just remember that I come from a sport that's far more severe, allegedly, than boxing is. So already he's really trying to set up a buffer for him in case he gets embarrassed.
August 26th, he's going to bring his best. And it's not going to be easy, Conor. It's not going to be easy.
Floyd is 40 years old. Conor's 29, man. Floyd looks younger than him.
Easy. Remember, Pacquiao got bombs. Canelo got bombs. Shane Mosley had bombs. You know?
Hell, Victor Ortiz had bombs. Shit. Miguel Cotto had bombs. Floyd has fought a lot of guys who could really punch. Oscar De La Hoya had bombs. All these guys had bombs. But, you know, The difference is you were a little bit younger. So we'll see. Like I said, I've stated from the very beginning, that since they've announced this fight, the chance that Conor McGregor has is that Floyd gets old on fight night and he catches one flush that, where, due to his age and his inactivity, he may not possibly have the punch resistance that he's had in his career. Who knows?
And all those guys are going in the Hall of Fame. But one thing about me, I got a granite chin.
I think he has a big-time gambling problem. He gambles on half times and things like that. He shows what his wins are, never shows what the losses are.
Yeah, you would know because I'm sure you probably follow him on Instagram. Probably click on every photo while you look at him and you just say, "Oh, one day I'll be where that man is. I love him."
Maybe that's why he's in this position he is in, and he had to take this fight.
Well, no matter what the reason is that he's in the position that he's in, just be very, very fortunate and happy that he is. Because basically what he did was he took your normal pay scale and multiplied it by 30. All right, so just be very happy. It's like I saw that idiot Andre Berto. He was on one of these shows. I think it was some MMA interview show where he was going on about how Las Vegas supports Floyd so much, and when you get into when you get into a fight with him, you really see how much how important Floyd Mayweather is to the whole boxing industry and how they view him, and he controls the judges and he controls the ref, and it's like, nigga, dude, this guy's giving you the biggest payday of your life. Like, you were a 2-time world champion, and just because you get a fight with Floyd Mayweather, you're making damn 4 or 5 times more than you ever made in your career. And you actually going to sit on a show and bitch and complain about him being able to choose the judges and the ref? Dude, that man should be able to choose what type of cup you wear. All right? I mean, you're a guy who lost to fucking Jesus Soto Carras. Like, niggas are just so damn stupid sometimes. And McGregor's a guy, look, he's an alpha male, so he still has to try to project that image of, I'm in control, I'm the boss, I'm the interloper, I'm the young lion here to take the old lion's territory. This is going to be a one-shot deal for McGregor. He's not going to stay in boxing, believe me. He's going to come in here, he's going to hope to do well. After a few rounds, he's going to see the skills. I mean, that's assuming that Mayweather has not dropped off dramatically due to age. He's going to see the skills. He's just, after a while, he's going to say, no, I'll just take the check. And he'll take the check and go back, and he may come back for a fight with Paulie. Maybe. But that's about it. I don't even see Conor fighting that much longer.
And any and everything in boxing that can be done, I've done it. Not just once, not just twice, 1,000 times. I was born a fighter. I would die a fighter.
Look at Hannah Storm with her old ass looking like she getting wet in her drawers. It's like, yes, you die a fighter in my bedroom.
Floyd Mayweather was very calm today, very composed, very much in command, even in the stare down.
Yeah, I bet. Now, the real stare down was when you was looking at him, wasn't it? Your old ass.
On the other side, Conor McGregor, after a few seconds, whipped his sunglasses off. He was chewing gum the whole time, and then he actually said a few words. So take from that what you will.
You see whose side Hannah Storm is on. I think Hannah Storm going to be down at Floyd Mayweather strip club girl collection after the fight, trying to show Floyd what she could do on a pole.
As we are parsing every moment in the lead up to the main event on Saturday night, our reporters are standing by. Well said, Sal. Even the optics of what was happening as McGregor spoke first, then he took a seat. Floyd Mayweather took the podium, and he never relinquished the podium. He was very much in command of the day.
Of course, because he knew what he wanted to say, and he knew that what he had to say did not really revolve around Conor as much as him dominating the dais for the last time. Conceivably. Even though, as we know, those of us who follow boxing knows that, for fighters, really the last time is when you finally get your ass whooped. So, can Mayweather break that trend? Who knows? Other than Rocky Marciano, I can't think anybody else who was able to retire on top and stay their ass at home.
And one of his messages essentially was, this guy might say he's going to come into the ring and do some things that I've never seen, but there's nothing that he can do that's going to surprise me.
No, and McGregor, I touched on it earlier. McGregor got caught in a lie. Can you believe it? People lying around here.
Of course he got caught in a lie. He's been lying to himself the whole training camp. He's been lying to himself the last 2 years, saying that he wants to fight Floyd in a boxing match. Even though, look, I give credit to McGregor. There's not many people who could be the top in their sport or in whatever field of endeavor that they're in, especially an endeavor that involves a very, very huge ego where you need to be egotistical to dominate, and then say to themselves, I'm going to go into a whole other field where I'm virtually a novice and take on the best in that field just because I can, and just because I have the chance to really reap the benefits of reap the benefits monetarily in a very lucrative situation. So, I give him credit for that.
He said, I'm coming right after him. You better be ready. I'm coming forward. And then at the end of it, later on, he forgot that he said that, and he said, I'm going to outbox him. I'm going to show my boxing skills. Everybody's going to be shocked. Well, it's one or the other. Either you're coming forward like a seek and destroy missile, like a werewolf, or a caveman that some people think that he has to be, or you're a scientist. Which one is it?
I think he's going to try both, Teddy. Actually, I think he's going to try a lot of weird and wild feints to see how Floyd reacts and how he responds. Conor is a student of the game. I'm sure that he probably has watched the Zab Judah fight. I'm sure he's watched the Vic Ortiz fight, the Manny Pacquiao fight, the Sean Bay Mitchell fight. And one thing that I will say in all those fights, Chop Chop Corley, every fight that he's had against a southpaw, he has had his bell rung. I mean, even against Sean Bay rang his bell at the end of, I believe it was round 2. All right, or round 3. One of those rounds, he rang Floyd bell. All right. So Floyd does get caught by southpaws. We all know Zab rang his bell. For those of you who watched the Chop Chop fight, which is probably the most exciting fight that Floyd was ever in, or one of them, he got his bell rung in the fourth round. Manny rang his bell a couple times. So I'm sure that Conor's been studying those fights. Of course, like I stated, Zab rang his bell, and I believe it was the second round, the fourth round. And Zab also did something that kind of took Floyd out of his zone for a second in the fifth round. Zab started to use the 52 blocks fighting technique. For those of you who don't know, 52 blocks is a martial art that was developed by the so-called black man that has been utilized a lot in the so-called prison system, really just the modern day slavery system. But according to the practitioners, they said that it goes back to slavery. I don't know how true that is or how relevant that is. But I mean, as far as martial arts that have been practiced by so-called black people, that stuff goes back thousands of years. But that's neither here nor there. The point being that Zab utilized it or tried to in the fifth round, and it kind of froze Floyd for a second. So it wouldn't surprise me if Conor saw that and said, you know what? If I try something really unorthodox and really weird, it may freeze Floyd for a moment and allow me to attack him.
And I think it speaks to an intangible here that a lot of people haven't really thought about. They all think, and of course you got to promote the fight, that he's going to come forward, he being McGregor, that he's going to have his fangs out, blood's going to be dripping from him. I mean, that's how you sell the fight. But that's not really him. I watched his big fights. That's not his temperament. His temperament, shocking enough what you're going to hear come out of my mouth, but it's more like Floyd Mayweather. It's the counterpunch, to set traps, to think. That's how he won his biggest fights, by being smart, by being conservative. Oh my God, you don't want to say that at the promotion, because who the hell would buy that? But if that happens, what do we have then? A cure for insomnia?
Right.
I don't know.
He'd rather say, which he has been saying, and he told me, I'm going to knock this guy out in 10 seconds. The guy has only touched the mat once back in 2001, and that was on a blown call. But there's a lot of bravado. And what Teddy was talking about is that mental game that both fighters are known for, always being a step ahead of the opponent. How much more, though, is McGregor going to have to think when it comes to Saturday night? And how much is that going to slow him down?
I'll tell you what, these guys are business partners up until Saturday night. They have a dispute. They decided to solve it in 12 rounds under the Queensberry rules. That's Saturday night. Tonight, they're business partners. I was very surprised with the way Floyd reacted. It looked like he said, I'm done with promotion. I'm just ready to fight.
Of course he's done. The fight is here. I mean, what's the point of yelling and screaming at the press conference, man? We're 3 days away. You have to conserve as much energy as possible. Conor is trying to get you to expel unnecessary energy so that he can take it out of you before the fight. That's all he's trying to do.
It looks like he wrapped it up. He's ready to weigh-ins and get down to business. That surprised me. But the more I think about it, much like a fine wine, Mayweather's performance looks better and better to me. I liked the sportsmanship. I liked that he came out and was a little bit kind, and I do like Sal's point. He turned the volume down, and he made Conor react to him. Only one person can lead this dance. Hannah, don't ever forget that.
Don't ever forget that, Hannah. When they go to commercial, Hannah's going to say, that's right, only one person can lead this panel. And you better stay in your place. Right now, bitches are taking over sports media, okay? As long as you got titties, you can tell men what to do. So calm down before I send your ass back to Bellator, wherever the fuck you came from. All right, so now they also sat down with Conor McGregor and interviewed him right after the press conference. Let's see what he had to say.
I will go forward and I will put the pressure on him and break this old man. Trust me on that.
Yeah, okay. Let me tell you something. I would love to see Conor really try to press Floyd. It will answer some questions very early. And, you know, that might not be the worst idea. Sometimes you got to catch Floyd early because by the 4th or 5th round, once he get oiled, once he get them joints going, boy, ain't shit you gonna be able to do. I don't care who you are. So it might be a good idea for him to try to jump on his ass early, like Shane tried to do.
Remember, if you give it, you must be able to take it.
When it's all said and done, you know what? I'm gonna feel a little bit sad.
Floyd said, if you give it, you must be able to take it. That's the truth in the ring and in life.
Because you should have all kept your mouth shut.
I can give it, and I can take it. But for me to be 49-0, it's obvious I'm not receiving it, I'm giving it.
You should have left me over on that other game that I'm from, that more ruthless game where we bounce heads off the canvas and drill them into the floor.
He bounces off the canvas and drill them into the floor. He really wishes that he was back there right now. That's why he keeps talking about MMA. He's very, very nervous about this fight. Don't get it twisted. He's very, very nervous. It's like that old axiom about people whistling through the graveyard. That's why Floyd is just chilling right now. He's been there before. He's fought guys as big or bigger than Conor. He's fought guys with 10 times the skill level of Conor. So, like I said, really, this fight is really only going to be a referendum on how much Floyd's skills have deteriorated in the last 2 years. Because please understand, athletes have a very, very rapid drop-off in their late 30s. Right now, Floyd is 40 years old. He hasn't fought in 2 years. So, we're going to find out. We're going to see.
I was born a fighter. I would die a fighter.
Those two earlier this afternoon in Las Vegas. A pleasure to be joined by Conor McGregor. He joins us on SportsCenter a few days away from the biggest moment of his career to this point, but you never know what's next with the way this guy has ascended. First things first, Conor, we watched you guys in Toronto, LA, Brooklyn, London. It was on. The war of words was on. Today was much more subdued. I couldn't help but notice from both guys. Why do you think that was?
It was media only were allowed into the building. I wasn't informed of that, but because there was so many media, I was kind of half thinking there's a lot. Is there that many fans? But it just turns out there's that much media covering this contest. So
yes, that much media. But you stated in the past that you've been here before and you've been in events this big before. Once again, when these fighters fight Floyd Mayweather, they're subjected not just to the fighter and the prospect of facing a fighter that's skillful. They're also subject to the environment, to the arena. And when I say the arena, not just where they're fighting, but the overall atmosphere of the fight, right? The screaming fans, the lights, that shit blinds certain people. I don't care how famous they are. Like I said, Manny Pacquiao looked in awe of that whole situation. You go back and watch that weigh-in for the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight. When he came in, that motherfucker was waving and looking around like he just won a lotto or something like that. Like, really, he had his hands all up in the air. You could tell he really didn't care if he won the fight or not. Not that he didn't try to win the fight. He certainly did. But he knew that that he basically had won a lotto ticket. And it's the same thing with this guy.
So it just had a different energy. I mean, like you said, we've been all over the world promoting this fight. It's been a crazy experience. That world tour in itself was a different experience for me.
But I thought you'd been there before, Conor.
It was nice. We're coming close to the fight. When two men come close to the fight, things get a little bit more colder. So, from my end anyway.
Yeah, I can sense it in your voice. The seriousness has obviously kicked in. You said...
Well, when I saw the coldness from Floyd, man. Actually, you looked like you were hot. It looked like Floyd was the one who was cold. He was the one who was staring into your eyes with that steely gaze, and you were busy trying to break his concentration and trying to ward off the reality of the situation, which was that you were extremely, extremely nervous. There's no doubt about it. That's why you were going through all the Bruce Lee poses, and you were just trying to hide what was really going on in your head, which is like, damn, in 3 days, I'm about to fight the best fighter of the last 20 years. And with all due apologies to Roy Jones. Roy Jones was the most spectacular fighter of the last 20 years, but not the best. All right. That's why when he got old, he fell off and he started to get knocked out because he didn't have the fundamental base that Floyd Mayweather has. His style was not built to age well. Certain fighters' styles were not built to age well. Like Muhammad Ali's style was not built to age well. All right, because fundamentally he relied so much on his athleticism, much like Roy Jones, that when he got older, same thing with Ray Leonard. All right. Now Floyd Mayweather is a super athlete with a phenomenal fundamental base. All right. But there's no doubt, to get back to the point, that Floyd Mayweather was the one who had the coldness, not you.
You had a training camp during today's press conference that has been unlike any way you've ever trained before. I know you've taken every fight you've ever had seriously, but what special did you put into this particular camp that maybe we haven't seen before? I know that fighting is different because it's boxing, but from your mental and physical approach, what made this one extra special?
Well, first off, I couldn't use the PEDs I normally use because, USADA. So I had to watch out. They popped John Jones. So, I mean, and I'm just kidding for all the people who are going to come in my comments. Oh, you're saying this, but, UFC tests. Look, I'm just playing, okay? That's all.
I mean, the magnitude of the contest, I'm crossing over into another discipline. So that in itself was very exciting to me and motivating to me to push on and work extremely hard. Of course, then the situation where I'm used to 5-minute rounds, now we're going in 12 3-minute rounds. That was something that we must pay attention to.
Why'd you have to pay attention to it? You said before that, you go 5-minute long rounds with guys who are doing all type of different martial arts styles, so that would be harder than going 12 3-minute rounds, Conor. Why'd you have to pay attention to it for? It should have been an easy transition, allegedly.
We made some adjustments in my cardiovascular preparation, and of course...
Why? I thought you had a great cardio base.
Of course, in the rounds that we took part in. But it's been just an amazing camp. I've put in a hell of a lot of work. I've gone to hell and back in this camp, truly. So, no stone was left unturned.
You had to go to hell and back to participate in a sport that you said is only a partial aspect of fighting.
Everything surrounding it, the circus that it is, and that the magnitude of it was...
Well, all that, the circus and the magnitude are all things that you said that you've experienced before, Conor. So, once again, right now, if you listen to people long enough, the truth will come out. Okay? The truth will come out. A lie is like air filling a balloon. Eventually, the balloon will pop. Okay? All you got to do is listen to people long enough and the truth will come out. Conor knows that he's a little in over his head in regards to this event.
It was fuel and motivation to continue and to go to these places. And we are ready. Now we are days out. Now we bring the weight down. And we fight Saturday night.
No question about it. I know you said you're ready for 12 rounds at an extremely hectic pace. Those were your words if it comes to it.
Yeah, well, we both know that the fight will not be fought at a hectic pace, at least not physically. The fight will be fought at a hectic pace mentally, because he's going to get in there and he's going to realize that Floyd is faster than he looks on TV, and he looks fast on TV. He's going to realize that Floyd hits harder than it appears that he hits. He's going to realize how stressful it is to not know how your opponent is going to attack you, right? He thinks that it's confusing to have to worry about kicks and knees and elbows, but when you're fighting a guy who's a master, who's a maestro, just with his hands, how many different ways he can attack you, and the ways that he can set you up, things that you've never even conceived of in the mixed martial arts world in regards to hand attacks. It's going to be a lesson for Conor.
I heard you say during the fight when someone asked you today at the press conference about what comes next, but instead of doing that, you ran back the other way and said, listen, man, I used to fight on prelims, then I'd work my way up to the next step, to the next step, to the next step to get here. When you think about where you started versus what you were going to be doing Saturday night, when you just step back and think about this, your ascension, what do you even think?
The sky is the limit. That's what it is. You know, I set my goals high, and I work tirelessly to achieve them. Like you said, from the prelims to the main event, now I am fighter/promoter.
And Conor deserves all the respect for that, because he definitely has built himself up with his game plan, with his belief in himself, and with the skill level that he has in mixed martial arts. Just for him to be here is a phenomenal achievement.
We just continue to grow, continue to compete and hold these mega events, and that's what I will continue to do.
Conor, Dana White said the other day to our Ben Okamoto, who covers MMA for ESPN, and I know sometimes Dana can be, a little bit hyperbolic, but you got to sell the fights. It's all part of the gig. He basically said if you were to win on Saturday night, on Sunday morning, you would wake up, or even if you'd go to sleep, you'd probably be partying all night. If you win, that's fine, of course, as you said you will in the first round. But he said it would be the biggest upset in the history of sports, in any sport. Have you just thought about your place in sports if that were to happen?
Not necessarily. I mean, I already see myself at the very, very pinnacle. I have done for a long time. So
I don't know if Conor was to catch Floyd with a punch and knock him out. I don't know if this would be a bigger upset than Tyson. When Mike Tyson lost. So I mean, I don't know. I'm just thinking back when Mike Tyson fought Buster Douglas. To me, that was far more shocking a loss than even if Conor were to beat Floyd. Because at least you could say, well, Floyd was old. He just got caught. Whatever. Because Conor's not beating Floyd on decision. We know that already. But when Mike Tyson lost to Buster Douglas, that was one of the craziest things I can remember. But just by the way, the last name Douglas, it literally means black man, all right, or man of color. Scottish last name, all right.
So it would be a shock of crazy proportions for everybody else. For me, it's another day. I say I'm going to do it. I work hard towards achieving it.
No, it will be a shock for you too. That's why you had that long ass pause. All right, it will be a shock for you too, Conor. I guarantee you, if you win, you'll go berserk in the ring. You might start crying. If Conor knock out Floyd Mayweather, don't be shocked if he starts crying in the ring.
And then I go and achieve it. So my life does not change. I continue to live a good life, set lofty goals, work hard, and achieve them.
And that's how a man is supposed to think. A man sets high goals for himself and goes about trying to achieve them. He don't sit around on one knee, bowing before a damn American flag, hoping and praying to get a fucking hug. All right? And you see, not to digress, but you see how I've been saying this for I don't know how many months. All these pro-black dudes want is a fucking hug. And now you see that the biggest news story now in the NFL is all these Caucasian football players are basically hugging these niggas on the field before the game. Because they need that mental support because they're so weak and operate at such a low level. All right, you brothers are going to find all the things that I've been telling you are going to manifest right in front of your face, man. You're going to find that out.
Last thing, for your legions of fans out there, I'm going to let myself be the conduit and get out of the way here. For your legions of fans that couldn't be there today, but were following you every step of the way, all 4 of the cities on the world tour, what would you like to say to them as you get ready for Saturday night?
I just would like to say to the fans, thank you so much for your support. I'm very humbled and very motivated by it. All the travelling fans who travel to every venue and on my entire journey on this come up, and just to let them know that you're greatly appreciated, and it helps me push to these limits that I push myself to. And that's it. Thank you. Saturday night, it's going to be one hell of a show. And tune in and watch me do work.
No question about it. Doing work is something that Mayweather likes to say too. You're doing work. Mayweather likes to say, work hard in the ring.
No, he liked to say easy work. And that's what this motherfucker gonna be if, that's what this motherfucker gonna be if Floyd has not aged drastically in the last 2 years. All right, and I like Conor. I like his demeanor. I like his self-confidence. I like his belief. I like all that. But he's gonna be in over his head unless Floyd has aged drastically.
Saturday with the sports world watching. Conor, thank you and best of luck.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. But anyway, that was the coverage of the Mayweather versus Conor McGregor press conference. Peace.